Hey everyone, in this lesson we are going to talk about read-only and optional properties. I have copy-pasted our example from the previous lesson and we are going to build on top of this. Now, the way that I'm going to go about this is we're going to introduce two new concepts, which I think we have already talked about them, but we are going to talk about them in the context of classes. So I want to add another property, and so far we know there are actually three things that we need to do to be able to add this property. First, we need to declare within the class itself, and we need to specify what is going to be the type of this. So this is type number. Then we need to provide a reference of that within the constructor parameter list. So in here, I'm going to say ID type of number. And then we need to actually go ahead and initialize that. I'm going to say this dot ID is equal to ID. Cool. So that is done. The read-only property, a read-only or the read-only modifier is a flag that we use whenever we want to make something read-only. So we don't want anyone to be able to change that after it has been defined. So ID is a very good example for that, and the keyword that we're going to use is going to be read-only. Very simple. So as soon as I do that, this ID can no longer be changed outside the class. So that's how we can have read-only. What is happening here? 3 arguments. Okay, we are going to pass that. So it is basically saying that since you have added ID in the constructor parameter list, you need to specify an argument for that. And since the ID is required, we need to specify that. So 101, and for this one, 201. Cool. Now this brings us to our second concept, which is optional. Now let's say, this might not be a very good example, but let's say language is another property that we want to provide to our products. So on some products, we have language. On other products, we don't have this language requirement. For example, if we don't specify it, then the product is in English, or when we specify the language, it is not in English. It could be in any other language, something like that. I couldn't come up with a better example, so we are just going to stick to this. It's just a very simple thing that we are going to cover, and it is not really worth a lot of thought. So this language, I want it to be optional. I don't want it to be required like the ID. If it is required, you saw there were 2 errors. And depending on the number of objects created from this class or instantiated from this class, those many errors are going to arise. But as far as this is concerned, this is just an optional one. So we can provide it or we can just ignore it. And to be able to do that is just to add a question mark. I think we have already covered this in our series. All right. And this brings us to the end of this lesson. See you in the next one.